Chapter 8. Antikythera. A million chilling thoughts of starvation and dehydration, or of being ripped apart by cave monsters, flood Sophia's mind. All of them involve some version of she and Gabriel lying dead in this tunnel. For some reason, she keeps thinking about Bixby, all alone in the motorhome, who will slowly suffer a similar fate as he wonders why his mistress never returned for him. Sophia doesn't have time to think through a plan. She has to act, even if that means taking desperate measures. Balling her hands into fists, she pounds the iron door as hard as she can. She screams, she shrieks, she punches and kicks, anything which might attract the attention of the train people. Perhaps she and Gabriel will end up dead at their hands anyway, but she prefers those odds to an internal entombment here. Plus, in her jeans waistband, she still carries an ace in the hole. She can't shoot her way through this door, but the four from the train might find her pistol a bit more persuasive. Moments after Gabriel joins her in creating the racket, Sophia shushes him and puts her ear to the door. Her plan has worked. She hears faint voices on the other side. "Help!" she pleads, pounding once more to make certain they have heard her. "We're trapped inside. Please open the door." A loud creak is followed by the grinding of metal upon stone, and the door begins to swing outward into the stairwell. Sophia steps back and drops a hand to the butt of her pistol. She hopes she won't have to use it, but she must be prepared for every possibility. After opening only a few inches, the door stops. Through the narrow gap, the European asks, "Who are you? Are you one of the immovables?" "I don't even know what an immovable is," she answers truthfully. "Look, we're just a couple of kids. We followed you here from Utah. Then when you shut the door, we got stuck back here." "Lynn's got kids working for her now?" one of the twins asks in disbelief. "She really will take anyone that'll have her." "We don't know this Lynn person," protests Sophia. "Honest, we saw your train when we were driving and followed you here. Please, let us out. We just want to go home." She can't make out what the muffled voices say next, but it sounds as if they are having some sort of debate. She isn't certain, but she thinks she detects a note of concern. It's possible they trust her as little as she trusts them. Louder, and with a tone of finality, the European tells the others, "We cannot linger here to debate this any longer. It is only a matter of time before our intrusion is discovered. We will take them to the train and deal with them there." Deal with them? Sophia doesn't care for the sound of that. Her grip on the pistol tightens. The European addresses them again. "We are opening the door, but I must insist you come with us. Keep your hands behind your heads, and you will remain unharmed. Do we understand each other?" Sophia struggles to find her voice as she answers with a simple, "Yes." She instructs Gabriel to do as ordered, then obediently puts her own hands, and a pistol, behind her head. Her heart pounds like a jackhammer in her chest. In her mind, she plays out what will happen next and prays she won't have to squeeze the trigger. The train people grunt as they strain to pull the heavy door. When the opening is wide enough, the European instructs them to slide through. "You go first," Sophia whispers to Gabriel. The boy is whining, so she comforts him by adding, "Don't worry, I'm right behind you. I promise." Careful to keep her pistol hidden, Sophia slips sideways through the gap with her back against the wall. A bright blue light all but blinds her as she arrives on the other side, and she winces against its light. Although Sophia dreads what she must do, she knows she cannot hesitate without giving away her secret. At the moment, the element of surprise belongs to her, and she must use its every advantage if she and Gabriel will have any hope of escaping. She waits just long enough to make sure she is free and clear of the door, then jumps into action. Quicker than a coffee-fueled gunslinger, Sophia whips the pistol from behind her head and trains it on the holder of the flashlight. "Don't move," she shouts, as the others, including Gabriel, jump back with cries of surprise. Because of the flashlight's intense beam in her face, she can't distinguish who's who, but as long as she keeps the pistol aimed in their general direction, they won't try anything funny. She hopes. "Please, put that down," urges the European. "You do not understand." But Sophia isn't in the mood for bargaining. She cuts him off, saying, "I'm not putting anything down. I'm the one with the gun." One of the dark shadows holds up its hands, motioning for the others to remain calm. Sophia guesses this is the European. Since he is undoubtedly the leader of the gang, she aims the pistol at him. "I want you all to get down on your knees," she instructs, "and keep your hands in the air. Then me and Gabriel are gonna go up the stairs. Don't follow us." The European sinks slowly to his knees. The other two follow suit. The other two? Sophia doesn't even have time to finish her thought. Suddenly her arm is seized from behind and forced upward. A bright flash and ear-splitting crack rend the air at once. Bits of the stairwell's concrete rain down from above, settling in her hair. It seems everyone is shouting all at once as the pistol is wrenched from her grasp. An instant later, she is the one staring down the barrel. The blond man with the black hat stands on the other end of it. Blinded by the flashlight, she didn't realize there were only 3 of the train people in front of her. The last one had been hiding in the darkness behind her. "Nice try," Black Hat mutters darkly. Now that Sophia is staring up into his face, she realizes he can't be much older than 17 or 18. His face is smooth and handsome, and his skin is a ruddy shade of brown, like the core of a newly felled tree. "What do you think we should do with them, Etere?" he asks. "Stuff 'em back behind the door?" "And leave them for the immovable to find? Heavens, no," replies the European, the one also called Etere. "Even if it turns out they are Lynn's people, I would never leave them to such an uncertain fate as that." "Then what do we do with them?" asks the long-braided twin. "Exactly as planned when we opened the door," answers Etere. "We bring them with us to the train, but we must go now. If the immovable did not already know we were here, that gunshot certainly alerted him." The braided woman grabs Sophia's upper arm. Her fingers are a vice as she pushes the girl toward the stairs. Beside and slightly behind her, Black Hat does the same with Gabriel, and the 6 of them hasten up the stairs toward the daylight. When they reach the top, they shuffle back through the open, dark room with the slot machines. The Vegas heat slaps Sophia in the face as they emerge from the casino, and she instantly remembers how thirsty she is. She prays their captors are merciful enough to give her a glass of water once they are safely on board the train. Hurriedly, they pass the Sphinx's giant paws and the Bellagio's dusty fountains of old. They aren't on the wreck-studded Las Vegas Boulevard for long before both the train and the motorhome are in sight. As Black Hat and Braid shove the children toward the train, Sophia hears Bixby's frantic cries. She looks up and sees him, paws on the motorhome's window, watching them nervously. "Please," she screams, desperation flooding her voice. "Please let me get my dog. He's just over there in that motorhome. He'll die if you don't let me get him. Please." At first, no one answers, and the braided twin continues pushing her toward the train. Then, to Sophia's surprise, the crop-haired woman steps defiantly in front of her sister. "We aren't letting her dog die," she says in a steely tone. Then gently she tells Sophia, "Come with me." Sophia is released without argument. She stumbles forward and into the other twin's much gentler grasp. At a half run, the woman leads Sophia by the arm toward the motorhome. As soon as they reach it, Sophia unlatches the door. Bixby explodes through it, like a furry cannonball, knocking even Sophia backward. He is baring all 42 of his angry teeth, and a deep growl rumbles in his throat. Sophia has never seen her friendly-to-a-fault dog act like this. Murder lurks in his eyes, and he is ready to kill. He advances upon the strange woman, muscles tensed and ready to spring. Bixby will defend his mistress, even if it means taking the life of this intruder. The woman lets go of Sophia and says quite calmly, "Deal with him." The girl kneels in front of her dog and scratches him behind the ears. At once the furry bomb is diffused. His whippy tail wags happily back and forth as he licks the salty sweat from Sophia's palm. "Grab him and let's go," the woman orders. She speaks gently but urgently. "We need to get to the train." Sophia snags Bixby's leash from a hook inside the door. She has hardly used it in the past couple years, and the dog cocks his head confusedly as she clips it to his collar. She wishes she had time to explain herself, but the moment the leash is secure, the woman tugs on her arm. "To the train," she pleads. "We've wasted enough time." They rush to the train's middle car. The moment they jump inside the door, there is a jolt, and the train starts moving. Sophia takes in the new environment. It's obvious they are in a passenger compartment, but most of the seats have been torn out. 5 mattresses, complete with sheets and pillows, have replaced them. Gabriel is huddled upon one of the remaining seats, knees pulled up to his chest. Muffled whimpers escape his lips, and his weary eyes flit back and forth among the 4 adults. The man in the suit beckons Sophia to take a seat next to Gabriel. She does, and Bixby lays his head on the boy's lap. Gabriel relaxes instantly and gives the dog a gentle scratch between the ears. "Now then," the European begins, taking the seat across from them. "Who are you, and why were you following us?" Sophia looks at him with disgust and mistrust, like a 4-year-old eyeing a large piece of steamed broccoli. She has no intention of telling him anything. The man sighs. He pinches the corners of his eyes and rubs them, deep in thought. When he looks at her again, his expression is softer, and he says, "I am sorry for how things happened back there. We were in a hurry, and I did not know if we had time to explain our situation." "And that makes kidnapping us okay?" Sophia challenges stubbornly. She glares into his dark brown eyes. The corners of his mouth twitch downward. "No," he says. "I suppose it does not. We will be happy to let you go once we are away from the city." Black Hat steps forward in protest. "But what if they're Lynn's people?" In a chiding tone, the dark-featured man replies, "Micah, do you really think that is the case? Weigh the facts for a moment, and you will come to the very logical conclusion that they cannot belong to Lynn. Why would they return to the map room after already beating us there? Would they not be hurrying as quickly as possible to the first destination? And why would they have driven here in a motorhome with a pet dog? It makes no sense. Lynn works differently. You know that." Black Hat, also known as Micah, chews the inside of his cheek as he analyzes the facts. He then shrugs, meanders to the compartment's rear, and flops contentedly onto a mattress. Feeling bolder now, Sophia asks, "Who's Lynn? We heard you talking about her when we were watching you." The man grins warmly and says, "There will be time for that later. For now, let me introduce myself." He extends a hand and says, "My name is Ettore Majorana, and I am from Italy. On March 25th, 1938, I was on a boat between Sicily and Naples when I slipped forward through time." Sophia stares warily at his hand for a moment, then grabs it, gives it a brief shake, and says, "I'm Sophia Faraday, and the same thing happened to me and my dog on August 1st, 2021. She notices the twins share a brief look of shock. Then the braided one says, "I'm Kyla Alexander, and this is my sister Kira." She jerks a thumb to indicate the identical face next to hers. "We slipped forward the same day you did," Kira tells her, which explains their surprise. "We were in Charleston when it happened, South Carolina." "Medina, Pennsylvania," Sophia informs them. And I was in Aiken, South Carolina, says the young man lying on the mattress. His fingers are laced behind his head, and the black hat covers his face. November 14th, 1978. Name's Micah Monroe. And then there's also Dario Fingier, Ethere informs them. He is in the engine, operating the train. I found him while traveling through Spain. At once, every eye falls upon the boy next to Sophia. She notices the sudden interest in him and says, That's Gabriel. We only met each other 2 days ago. With the warmth and sweetness of fresh-baked cookies, Ethere puts on his friendliest grin and says, It is nice to meet you, Gabriel. Hi, the boy squeaks, barely meeting the other's gaze. And where did you come from? Grand Junction, Gabriel answers. In Colorado. Sophia interjects and adds, He actually didn't jump ahead in time like the rest of us. He was there when everyone else disappeared around him. Ethere Majorana meets her gaze. His mouth hangs open, betraying his disbelief before he whispers, He lived through it? Sophia nods. That is certainly remarkable, Ethere says, his voice low and pondering. You are sure of it? Gabriel nods vigorously and answers, Yeah, everyone else disappeared and left me all alone. My mom, my sisters, my neighbors. It was really scary. I am sorry you had to go through that, Gabriel, says Ethere. He lays a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. I had a hard enough time surviving as a grown-up. I cannot imagine how difficult it was for a boy like you. How old were you when they disappeared? 6. It was my birthday. You must be very brave and strong, Ethere says brightly, to have lasted so long on your own. The boy beams proudly. He strokes Bixby's head with a renewed confidence. But Sophia isn't so confident. Not yet, anyway. Clearing her throat, she asks, How can we be sure you aren't the bad guys? Ethere chuckles at her forwardness and says, You don't, I suppose. But perhaps if I tell you our mission, I can convince you that we want the same thing you do. Sophia doesn't say anything. She simply leans back and waits for more. Did you make it all the way into the map room? Ethere asks. Sophia nods. Then you also saw the Mappa Mundi, the map of the world, spread across the floor, he continues. Scattered around that map were 12 red dots, each of them with Latin words beneath. Did you see those? Again, Sophia nods. According to my research into some very credible sources, Ethere explains, those red dots, besides the one specifying the map room itself, pinpoint 11 different locations. These are known as the hallowed vaults. Hidden within each vault is a single piece of an ancient and wonderful machine. When all of these pieces, or relics, are brought together and assembled, they create something called an Antikythera device. A what? Interrupts Sophia, certain she misheard Ethere. Antikythera, he repeats, this time stressing each syllable. An Antikythera device. What does it do? Asks Gabriel, suddenly interested in the conversation. Well, Gabriel, Ethere excitedly replies, I only know rumors, but some have said that whoever owns the Antikythera device will become master over time. Sophia exchanges a blank expression with Gabriel. If she doesn't get it, she certainly can't expect him to understand. Let me put it simply, Ethere says. If we travel to all 11 of the hallowed vaults and find all 11 relics, we can assemble them and travel through time. Each of us can go back to our own eras. You will find your families, your friends. Do you understand? Sophia understands. She understands so well she can't speak. Ethere's revelation has overwhelmed her. Visions of birthday celebrations, of fishing at the creek with her brother Darius, of lazy Sunday afternoons, of her parents tucking her in and kissing her goodnight. They all fill her head at once. She gave up on these dreams, these fantasies, long ago. Could those fragmented memories become reality again? "How do you know all this?" she asks, leery of the too-good-to-be-true revelation. Ethere seems taken aback by the prying question, but he gives a low laugh and answers, "It is a long story. Let's just say that one of the most protected libraries in the world, the one below the Vatican in Rome, is not protected any longer. For over 1,000 years, those shelves have held many of the world's greatest and most powerful secrets. I happened to discover the writings about this one. The presence of the map room, I believe, confirms its truth." Ethere notices Gabriel licking his cracked and dry lips. Addressing the twins, he asks, "Would you please bring them some water? They look like they are about to collapse." Again, Sophia is at a loss for words. Her mind is an overloaded circuit, too burdened with incoming information to output a reply. This man's story sounds like a book she might have read long ago, before she slipped through time and her entire world changed. A race around the world, collecting ancient artifacts? A shadowy villain named Lin Lai? A band of once strangers who become closer than family? It all sounds like the adventure of a lifetime. But she is so young, and Gabriel even younger. Plus, she has Bixby to think about. How well would a dog do traveling around the world? There is a comfortable home waiting for her in Denver. With her motorhomes, she already has 2 continents she can explore. Isn't that enough? It also strikes her then that no one has invited them on this epic quest. Perhaps it's still their plan to cut the children loose and continue on their own as soon as they have the opportunity. Kyla disrupts Sophia's thoughts as she hands her a water bottle. Sophia passes it to Gabriel, allowing him to drink first. The boy greedily sucks it down. Only backwashed dregs remain when he returns the bottle to Sophia. The glimmer of a grin flashes across Kira's face as she offers the girl a second bottle. By the time Sophia is finished drinking, she has made up her mind. "Can we come with you?" She blurts the question before she has time to second-guess herself, to find this inky, whatever it's called. Ethere raises a doubting eyebrow. "Antikythera," he says, supplying the word she cannot remember. "And I do not know if that is a wise idea. The journey will be full of dangers, both from people and from Mother Nature. Neither I nor anybody else could promise your safety. It will be challenging, even for adults such as us. And not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally." He pauses, weighing her request in the scales of his mind. "I must have time to think about this. And we must all discuss the matter together," he says, indicating the rest of his crew. "Okay," Sophia mumbles feebly. His hesitance is more disappointing than she would have guessed. Abruptly changing the subject, Ethere asks, "Where do you live? We could all use a bit of rest and a break from this stuffy train." "Just outside of Denver," she replies. There is no mistaking the delighted gleam in Ethere's twinkling eyes. "That," he says, "is exactly where we are headed."